got to give them option. This is such a better option. And let's talk briefly about the phytoestrogens in legumes. Phytoestrogens are considered the scourge of the world, and they're very high in soy foods. Because people think, here's the illogic, and please everybody, think of this. If you're a health professional, if you're an MD, if you're a regular person, please consider what I have to say. I'm not trying to shove it down your throat, but this is really, really important for you to understand. It's a baby with the bathwater. Estrogen, if your body makes too much estrogen, which it actually really doesn't, but if it does, and I'll go to that in a minute, it can promote breast cancer, uterine cancer, various different female cancers. And if you're a man, it can actually compete with your testosterone. You'll have less testosterone in your system, and it's not good. There's also petroleum products and other chemicals in the environment that are called xenoestrogens. And they come in from the outside, and they add to your body's own estrogen burden, and they make your situation even worse, and they contribute to cancers in both sexes. Now, is there something that in the world, in life, that Mother Nature, that God has put on this earth for us to protect us from these things? And the answer is yes. And it's phytoestrogens that are weak estrogens. Now, because they're weak estrogens from plants, people assume because actual estrogen and too much can cause cancer, because xenoestrogens, toxic chemicals from the outside, can cause cancers. Therefore, because the plants are weak estrogens, they promote cancer. We all on the same page there. Does that make sense, John?
Absolutely.
A little bit of this type of estrogen promotes cancer, so that type must promote it too.
I mean, it's like if A, then B, and B, then C. Right. I mean, that's like math, right?
Okay, that's math. If that were true, if this were an axiom, if this were a reality of truth, if this were the way the world worked, then the cultures and the people that eat the most phytoestrogen foods, not supplements, not xenoestrogens, foods, phytoestrogen foods, legumes, would have the most cancers. Right? Phytoestrogens cause cancer.
It should do it that way.
Yeah, if this is true, it's got to work that way. You've got to have these populations having the most cancer, eating the most organic, non-GMO soybeans, lentils, chickpeas, all these things are legumes. It's got to work that way if this is true. And when we look at the Asian cultures, be it Japan, Okinawa, and China, that are eating the most whole organic soy foods, not supplements, again, not GMO crap, not raw, whole organic cooked soy and other lentils and other legumes, they have the least estrogen-based cancers. The least! So, if you could just be like a dummy, like, duh, this causes cancer, this not cause cancer, no in between, you'll just throw the baby out in the bathwater. If you have a little bit of a scientific mind, and I'm not saying the readers or the listeners don't have it, but you've been taught from people that weren't thinking the whole picture. They weren't taught the whole picture, and they just pass it on because I trust that person, I believe them, I don't want to question their integrity. There's a difference between questioning someone's integrity and questioning their competency. It's totally different. I totally trust the person with my life, but they suck at doing this job, so I'm not going to have them do it. That's how it works. So, we find that they have the least amount of disease, the least amount of estrogen-based cancers. Here's why it works differently. Estrogens that your body makes, they're estrogen and they work as estrogen. Xenoestrogens, outside the body, they work as estrogens. Phytoestrogens from plants, as long as they're still in the whole plant food form, not supplements thereof, fill up the estrogen receptor sites in your body, male or female, and they prevent the xenoestrogen, or your body's own estrogens, from attaching to that cell, from attaching to the breast tissue, from attaching to the uterine tissue, from inhibiting testosterone in men. They attach it and they don't let these bad estrogens get in. They are protecting you. They fit into the same receptor site.
Wow, so we need these things.
We need these things in any way, and especially in today with more xenoestrogens coming in. But they're one of the reasons that legumes, soy being the pinnacle legume, have such a bad rap. And it's totally the opposite reaction. I've seen women doing tofu and tempeh who totally balanced their hormones. All of a sudden they didn't have breast tenderness, they couldn't even tell when their period was happening, they had no cramping, very little blood. When they got on to could be either whole, cooked, organic, non-GMO soy, or some of them use lentils, some of them use chickpeas, some of them use black beans, some of them use, there's other legumes too, some of them use carob, some of them use alfalfa, some of them use peanuts with the oil poured off the top and the peanut butter. That's also legume to balance their hormones. They get off that because they get on a raw food program. And all cooked food is poison. All of it. Every single piece of cooked food is poison, and that's not part of a raw food program. They get onto a high-fat raw program, which all other factors being equal, the more fat you do, even healthy fats, the more, and I'm not sure how coconut works in this, I haven't tested it, it's the only one. But other than that, the more fat you consume, the more estrogen your body makes, male or female.
So you become a girl if you eat a high-fat diet.
Not really, but somewhat. So you go from the protective phytoestrogenic diet of cooked legumes to high-fat, no protection in there, and all of a sudden, now you're having breast tenderness. Now you are having cancers forming. Now you're having blood. Now you're having menstrual cramps. And I've seen so many women do that, say, well, those things saved my life in the past, but I can't go back to them because they're not raw. That's ridiculous. But it's the mentality. It's because the authorities they go to say, oh no, that's bad. Soy's bad because raw soy is bad for you. It's hard to digest. GMO soy is bad for you. And isolated parts of soy are horribly toxic for you because they're individual phytoestrogens not balanced by the entire whole that can have negative hormonal consequences that never occur in the whole foods. The people in the Asian countries, the benefits with the soy foods, the more they ate, the better benefits they had, never took an isolated isoflavone supplement from soy. They never took GMO soy, and they never took inorganic soy. They had whole soy foods that always were cooked. If you don't want to have soy, you're allergic to soy, think it's crap, don't ever eat it. Just get it out of your life, have chickpeas, have the hundreds of other lentils you can possibly consume. The thing that's even higher in phytoestrogens than soy, it blows soy away. Soy's number 2 sort of phytoestrogens, is flax seeds. Flax seeds are multiple times higher in phytoestrogens. And if they're the case, that phytoestrogens cause cancer, then the experimental animals, the pet animals, the human beings that ate more flax seeds and the cell cultures that we fed more flax seeds to would have the most cancer. It would be the most deadly cancer-causing, estrogen-based cancer-causing food on the planet. Let's frame that. Study in Canada several years ago that was barely reported in the news. Women took 2 tablespoons of flax seeds in the 2 to 4 weeks between they were diagnosed with breast cancer and they were going to get either a mastectomy or a lumpectomy. Either take the whole friggin' breast off or just take the tumor out and disfigure the woman and have her have self-esteem issues and so forth. Take out tissue, go under a surgery, have some complications, bleed, etc. In the 2 to 4 weeks, 2 tablespoons of flax seeds. They came back after that 2 and 4 weeks with flax seeds, this ultra-high estrogenic food. You should have thought that the tumor was bigger than their breast at that point because if you were going to promote it, this would do it. Mega phytoestrogens. I hope I haven't beat that too much, but I hope it's clear. This would cause cancer for sure in women that already had cancer. They weren't taking flax seeds previous, by the way. When they came back 2 to 4 weeks later, it found that all of them had reductions in breast tumor size just by adding the flax seeds. Some of them 50%.
Wow.
That's all they did was 2 freaking tablespoons of flax seeds ground on the coffee grinder every day with massive phytoestrogens.
Wow, that's easy to do.
That's a piece of cake, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. You can do so much more. So what do they do with this crazy, malicious, barbaric, medical, peer-reviewed, double-blind, placebo-controlled study?
Fill out more flax seeds, right? So that they can heal themselves.
No, of course not.
No?
No, they went ahead and had surgery. Does that make any logical sense? It's like, take 2 more tablespoons of flax seeds and call me in the morning. That's insane. That should be medical malpractice. That and so many other studies with both flaxseed oil and far superior the whole flax seeds have shown that flax seeds, because flaxseed oil has very little phytoestrogen, but has omega-3s and a lot of other things, the whole flax seeds are unbelievably protective, in some cases remedial, of cancers and other harmful challenges.